Hello, welcome again, everyone. This is the Generator Founder Series Spotlight. I am Troy Vossler, co-founder of Generator. Today, I'm joined by Jim Snediker, founder and CEO of Stock Manufacturing Company. Welcome, Jim. Hello.
Troy, thanks for having me. Good to see you.
All right, let's jump in. Start by introducing yourself and your company. What is Stock?
So, my name's Jim, again, co-founder and CEO of Stock, and Stock is a premium workwear brand primarily focused on front of house hospitality. So, what that means is we are designing and making higher end uniforms for anyone that has a customer facing staff, whether that is a restaurant, a hotel, to a commercial real estate office building, to an airport lounge.
Love it. And then what's the current status of the company? And you can think of that as like traction, revenue, notable customers, fundraising, whatever you're comfortable sharing or whatever's relevant. What's the current status of Stock?
Sure. Well, it's funny. I was kind of thinking about some of these questions before, and we're definitely a little different, I think, than a lot of the companies you talk to. Where I don't think I've thought about our fundraising dollars in a long time. We've been going off cash flow and bank line of credit for a
The best
while.
way.
Yeah, sometimes. Current status is we finished the year just a hair under $4 million last year on a 6 month run rate of just over $4 million. We've got a team of, we just added another member to our team. So we got a 13-person team right now, primarily in Chicago. We got a person in LA and a couple people in the Philippines. And notable clients. We're pretty lucky. We have a good client base. Anyone from, if you know the Chicago restaurant scene, Alinea Restaurant Group, Hog Salt, Let Us Entertain You, One Off Hospitality, Boca Restaurant Group. Nationally, we work a lot with Hilton hotels, graduate hotels, Auberge resorts. We do some work with the Ritz-Carlton and with Four Seasons. And then commercial real estate wise, we do a good amount of work with Sterling Bay. Starting to work with Transwestern right now, Vornado out in New York. We have a pretty good client list, which is nice when we walk into a sales meeting with a new client to
That's
have
a
that
hot list.
conversation.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm a customer too, just in case anyone's
That's
wondering.
right. And
Yeah.
and we can't forget the individual consumers, which is how we started.
And then you mentioned Chicago. So Stock, you were based in Chicago. Why
Mhm.
Chicago?
I mean, the easiest answer is that's where we all lived.
Yeah.
I think if we had all lived in LA, we would have started the company there. Chicago helped a lot with, I think, the story and the building of the brand. The name Stock Manufacturing comes from the Chicago Union Stockyards, which gave us a lot of brand building and storytelling momentum, especially in the early days when we were tying back to some of the job creation. We were doing everything made in USA at the time. So I think Chicago became very intrinsic to our ethos, and I think it informs the designs of our apparel as well. Chicago is known as a very kind of no nonsense, no frills city that is still very world class in a lot of ways. And I think that's reflected in the designs we make. We're not putting on a lot of bells and whistles. We're just trying to choose really good fabrics, make them at the best possible construction methods, and get them to our customers at the most cost effective price possible.
And then when did you and Stock go through Generator? When was that? 2014?
2014?
Sounds right.
2014.
In
Yeah, because my
Milwaukee.
daughter was born in April 2015. Yeah, 2014.
Nice.
Summer of 2014.
That sounds right. Tell
Yeah.
tell us more about your Generator experience.
I was actually on my way to a sales meeting today, and I was with my account manager, and I was telling her the story of when we did the pedal pub on the first
Yeah.
night, when like that, and it was me, and there was we were paired up with another group from our cohort that had some older people in it, and I was like, "Why is this so hard? I'm dying." And I looked, and no one else was pedaling but me in the pedal pub. My generator experience was great. I think it was a real, we were pretty new. We were maybe had been around a year at that point. And at the time, the business has gone a different direction than what we were trying to make it in the beginning. But I think it was a real, almost a like a boot camp sort of. I guess that's a really trite way of putting it, but it kind of grows you up a little bit, right? It makes you, it was just three of us working in the back of this factory, or five of us at the time, working out of the back of this factory. And, um, I was the only person out of the five of us that ever had any corporate work experience. No one else really had. And, um, it it was a real eye opener as far as like people poking holes in your ideas for the business and making you defend yourself, having a lot of structure around your thought process, your presentation process, like just that presentation we gave at premiere night. Is that premiere night, right? That's what it's
Yeah.
called. Did I mess it up? Premiere night.
Premier night.
I mean, that was a lot of work that went into that, and it took a lot of fluff out of public speaking and presentation and just made you really think about how to most impactfully communicate your business. So that was a really big thing that we got out of that. Honestly, you and Joe too. I haven't seen Joe in a while, but you and I keep in touch. It's great to be in touch, and we met some good, future partners out of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna ask, next question is how did the accelerator help you the most? And would you say it was like how you communicated the company and the business or how
Yeah,
else?
I think helping us crystallize the messaging and the communication, even though it's changed since then. I think it, I come from also like an English journalism background prior to my last career, and you're taught to think in a very like storytelling perspective, right? Like how do you? That's how my brain always works, and I think Generator was that put that on steroids, like really helping you focus in on what you're trying to communicate to people and how to get that message across. That was a big one for me. And then, I mean, honestly, the other one out of that was like we met Rishi and Arjuna through
Yeah.
Generator. And I don't know if you know this, but so they invested in us, which I'm sure you know. They were like
Yeah.
co with another guy, our biggest investors, our only investors really outside of you guys and a couple of friends and family. But Rishi and I stayed in touch, and now they're in a huge facility in Ypsilanti. And we actually moved. We outgrew our space and we moved all of our inventory there, and they handle our
That's
fulfillment and
awesome. I
embellishment
did
on
not know
site.
that.
Yeah. So I see Rishi a couple times a year, and yeah, that's been a really good relationship that we got out of Generator.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Um, what advice do you have for entrepreneurs and founders that are considering an accelerator program?
Advice for entrepreneurs and founders that are considering an accelerator program. I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't, it's hard for me to give advice like this sometimes when I feel like the business I'm running is so different than a lot of the people that would go into an accelerator. And, because some of my advice would be make sure that the business model that you're trying to do like makes sense for the venture capital accelerator type business path. Because I think after a while we realized that we were trying to kind of fit a round peg in a square hole. So is there a square peg in a round hole with raising capital and running ads and doing all that stuff. So I think that's a big one is just making sure that the path you're taking has like you're seeing the ability to actually make profitable money off the path that you're taking. And I think the other one is have an open mind and listen to people. Like you're there to be taught. Like keep keep an eye on your values and what kind of business you want to run. But like don't push back on everything, right? If people are giving you feedback on your business, don't be defensive about it.
Yeah,
Take that
that's good
feedback
advice.
and I mean there were people in Generator that were like, you guys are making all your money. This is super early days. We'd only been doing uniforms like 6 months at this time. And people were like, you're already making more money off these uniforms in your brand. Like, why don't you focus on that? And we were so stubborn about being like a cool B2C brand. And I don't know if I mean, we got a lot of runway with our brand, like relatively speaking, after Generator that I think created some quote unquote like cool cachet and we learned a lot about product development and design in that couple of years after that we kept running a brand. But there was definitely something to it where like someone saw that and they were like, you guys are can be making money in this uniform space and you're not capturing it. And that's something I think about a lot.
I still think to your credit, like, is stock going to be a unicorn? Probably not. But you did raise outside money. You are profitable today. But I hear your point about like um, correlating the financing or the type of financing or the timing of that financing with, what the underlying business model and
Hmm.
market for that business are. But I still think you should give yourself credit for having both raised money and become profitable. Uh,
Yeah, and I
Not
think
most
I appreciate
entrepreneurs can say
that.
that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I think part of it was we raised some money and found out, like we thought raising some money would solve all our problems, and we found out that money was just in the front door and out the back door because people just it wasn't a compelling enough um, B2C play. Like I think our hook and our pricing just wasn't compelling enough to get that real traction going. Also, I mean that time you remember that time. There's a veritable graveyard of B2C
Yeah,
companies from that time that raised money and lost a lot of it.
sure.
So I think we just kind of figured out how to stay alive.
Yeah, credit to you guys. All right, tell us about your favorite part of the program or perhaps the favorite connection that you made.
Shoot, I think I covered this already. I the favorite connection is definitely Rishi and
Nice.
Arjuna out of that. I mean, besides you, of course, Troy. That's been our most useful. He's wasn't just money. I think he invested in us because he was interested in the business. I don't know that Rishi, he's told me before, he's like, I didn't really expect to get rich off you. If you guys hit it, great. But he was just really interested in our business and that showed. And we had a lot of, we still to this day, over 10 years later, like we are in touch all the time and talk about the business. And we have fairly, not similar businesses, but as similar as there's not a lot of people that do what I do, right? So like he's a similar enough business that he's been a bit of a mentor and like guide on a lot of things as well because
Yeah.
he's um, a bit ahead of me as far as traction goes. So
Yeah, shout out to Rishi from Underground Printing over in Michigan. All
he was
right,
doing Scani. That's
that's
how you
right.
knew him,
I
right?
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, still does. All right, my last question I
Nice.
asked this to each founder. If you had one ask for this audience, people watching this interview, maybe it's an introduction, maybe it's an investor referral, advice, mentorship, customer introductions, whatever. What would your ask be?
Somebody who's watching this and I haven't asked for them.
Yeah.
Uh, I would say if anybody that has a solid connection to someone who runs a business with customer facing employees, especially ones with scale, I guess if I'm shooting my shot, I'll shoot my shot. Like multi-unit restaurant groups, regional chains, hotel groups, those are the things that we're really interested in. And I think we're very well positioned to improve the aesthetics of someone's staff while also being very operationally sound, which
I
is
love
something
it.
that we specialize in. And I would love to have more of those conversations.
So if you're a restaurateur, business owner of a multi-location business, if you need to up your game in uniform aesthetics, Jim and Stock are your people. We'll have a link in the description. Make sure to check it out. Even if you're just a consumer, like I said, you can go on as a consumer, buy shirts, buy
Hmm.
pants, other staples for your wardrobe. Make sure to check out Stock. Really a pleasure. Great talking to you, Jim, and congrats on all your success. Thank you.
Thanks, Troy.